occurred to me. And speaking of fountain pens, they now had a disposable variety available at all those office supply chain stores, which to me defeated the purpose of using a fountain pen in the first place. Wasn't it about holding a beautiful object in your hands and feeling its solid weight, its worth, and the importance of its history? Remember when penmanship was taught in the classroom and its beautiful execution was prized? But that is what the world has come to. Quick this and disposable that. To my dying day, I would remain a lonely standard-bearer in a world that continued to toss aside every inch of civility we have ever known. Handwritten notes seemed to have gone the way of corsages. Their existence was rare. It just was the way it was. I hurried along to the funeral service, tiptoeing inside the church and finding my seat next to my dearest friend and other tenant, Kevin Dolan. "I have always loved St. Bartholomew's," I whispered to him. I removed my coat and gloves and, as inconspicuously as possible, settled in the pew. The service had already begun, and I regretted the fact that I was late, even if it was only by a few minutes. In the steamer trunk of middle age, folded, packed, and wrinkled with one physical and emotional insult after another, perimenopause had delivered a measure of intolerance, even toward myself. "Me too," Kevin whispered back and sighed. Poor Mr. O'Hara. Who ever thought he would just drop dead on the crosstown bus, just like that? Poof! Gone! He popped his wrist in front of him in a gesture that equated Mr. O'Hara's death with a magician's "now you see it, now you don't." "Hush," whispered someone in front of us. We paused in silence in deference to the occasion, and then couldn't resist continuing our recap of the fragile nature of life in the Big Apple. That was the effect Kevin always had on me. In his presence, I became a young gossiping washwoman. Emphasis on young. "Pockets picked and ID stolen," I added at a carefully calibrated low volume of clear displeasure. Disgusting. 5 days in the city morgue? Dreadful. If I hadn't called his family. He's lucky he wasn't eaten by rats. Thank heaven for dental records. Who could believe he went to a dentist with his snaggle teeth? Kevin said. "Please, he was my—" said the woman in front of us, her shoulders racking with sobs. Chastised for a second time, we were immediately quieted, but our eyes met over lowered sunglasses with identical expressions of devilish curiosity. Did our Mr. O'Hara have a lover? Was this reprimanding woman in front of us Mr. O'Hara's tart? We shook our heads. Not possible, I thought, but knew we would discuss it later. Who had the strength and tolerance for relationships? Certainly neither of us did. Although I wouldn't mind if, on occasion, George Clooney found himself between my sheets. I was wearing black, of course, and my most provocative black felt hat, secured against the wind with an antique onyx hat pin, thinking I looked rather smart. Kevin, bald as a billiard ball with his thick round tortoiseshell glasses, was impeccably turned out in a deep charcoal pinstripe suit. He smelled as luscious as he looked. His lavender silk tie was dyed to match his shirt, jacquarded in the tiniest of damask rectangles. If we kept our sunglasses on, which we did, an onlooker might have assumed we were a couple, which we were not. I was his landlady, and he was what my grandmother used to call a confirmed bachelor. However, strict definitions aside, we were the dearest of friends. Finally, the service reached its conclusion and the pallbearers carried the casket down the aisle. The bereaved family followed, leaning on one another, choking back tears. Even my heart made a little leap at their sorrow. It was bad enough that